All righty. Thank you guys so much for coming out to our panel right now. You could be getting your picture taken with Brent Spiner, Data from Star Trek. You could be right over there buying an overpriced hot dog, but instead you decided to come out to our panel, and I greatly, greatly appreciate that. My name is Sean Chandler. I have a YouTube channel called Sean Chandler Talks About, and I've been full-time at YouTube for about 3 years now, and this is...
I'm Cody Leach. I've also been on YouTube for about 6 years. I've been full-time about 8 months now, and my channel name is my name, so really easy to remember.
And if you're here, I assume either you're familiar with one of our two channels, or you want to start a YouTube channel, or some combination of both. And I suspect also you're trying to figure out, how do you grow a YouTube channel? Maybe you feel stuck, like you're not getting any traction. You keep trying things, and you're just not moving the needle. Well, that was me for about 15 years. I actually put up my very first movie website back in 1998. It was a Jackie Chan fan webpage, and it had some of the best Photoshop of the 90s taking place. I had a picture of his body, and you could click on the different body parts to figure out in which movie he injured that particular body part. I ran it for about 1.5 years, doing updates and movie reviews and stuff like that. And, fun times. And so, wait, 1998, how old were you in 1998?
I was 8 years old in 1998. So he was talking about Jackie Chan. I was eating Lunchables and rocking out to Kids Bop.
So, yeah, I'm a little bit older than him. But so I had my first website, and I had a little counter in the corner. It got all the way up to 1,000 views. From me and my mom clicking refresh to drive up the views on it. And then I abandoned it. I always wonder, like, what if I'd stuck with that since I was, what would that webpage be if I'd stuck with it? And then I was very active on a bunch of different message boards all throughout the zeros. I tried blogging at different points in time. And then I even had 3 years of false starts with YouTube where I went, I love YouTube. I love watching other people talking about stuff on YouTube. And so I posted a video about Arrow season 1, and then I took 6 months off. And then I posted a video about this other show, and I took 6 months off, and I didn't stick with it. Then in summer of 2016, I went on a date night to go see that new Ghostbusters movie with the girls in it that the internet was just insane about. Like, if you don't like this movie, it's because you're sexist. If you do like this movie, it's because you're an idiot. And I went to go see it with my wife for date night, and I watched it. I was like, I don't think either one of those are true. I think you're able to have like a middle of the road opinion on something. And I decided to post a review, and that decision changed the trajectory of my life. That's my journey. There was 15 years of failures. Even 9 months into when I started it for the channel that worked, I thought about quitting, but I persevered and figured some things out. And that's what we're going to share in this panel. That's my story. His story's a little bit different because, once again, he's like 10 years younger than me. What's your journey?
I had one false start. Back in 2009, I discovered that people were actually talking about movies on YouTube. And I was like, this is awesome. I can do this. And so I did about probably 5 or 6 videos with this old junky laptop that was junky back in 2009. Had a little tiny webcam. That was all I used. And it's probably good that I had a false start because I was just lounged on the couch. The laptop's on my lap, shaking every time I move. Like, you ever open up your camera and you accidentally have selfie mode on and you just get that unflattering, like, double chin angle? That was my whole YouTube career in 2009. So that didn't work. 2016, I started again. I was working construction and was driving at least 3 to 5 hours a day. Started listening to podcasts. Again, said, I can do that. Found myself yelling at my radio because anytime they talked about something that I wanted to talk about, I'm like, they can hear me. Started a podcast on my own where I recorded it in my walk-in closet so that I didn't have anybody hearing me, and quickly realized I was going to grow out of that. So that lasted 2 months, and then we had a huge pivotal moment in cinema in the summer of 2016 with the release of Sausage Party. I'm the only person on the face of the earth, including Seth Rogen, who can say that my life was changed by Sausage Party. So to a certain extent, we'll get more into it. The rest is history for me.
So, with that said, we want to walk you through the journey of what we actually did. Because neither one of us have degrees in communication. We didn't start our YouTube channels with massive audiences. we're just two guys that loved movies and were inspired by other creators, and we decided to do that. We're both movie guys, so our examples will be in the movie space, but the principles apply to whatever you're trying to do. Cosplay, gaming, all the principles of growth are the same. Our examples just happen to tie to the space that we're in, and the people that I know that are YouTubers are other movie people. But with that said, we're going to start right at the beginning. How do you get your first 100 subs? And it's growth by addition at the beginning. Because when you're starting, nobody knows who you are, and also no one cares who you are. Your mom does, your friends do, and maybe you got a lot of friends, and so that helps. But if you want to be successful on YouTube, you have to get other people that don't know you to care who you are, and it's tough. It's a little bit like when you get stuck in the mud with your car, and you have to figure out how do you get out of the hole. And so you start rocking your car to go back and forth. You try and cram stuff underneath the tire because you're trying to get traction and momentum. That's what you need to do when you're starting out on YouTube. Do anything that you can to get traction and momentum. And it's a big hustle and grind. So the first thing you want to do early on, for me, what did I do? This isn't made up stuff that I read in a book. This is what I actually did. I went out to meet other creators, other movie channels, other people in my space. I went to other people that might be interested to try and make friends with them, basically. That was just my thought of like, hey, right now I've got like 5 people watching, and 2 of those are me refreshing, and 3 of them are my mom. So what if I went out and I found like 50 people, and every week, I'm going to put in the work. I will watch one of their videos every week. I'm going to watch 50 videos every week and see if I can make friends with them and get them to watch my videos. And so I'll get 50 views from someone that actually cares and is commenting, and they'll get me watching one of their videos. Let's see what happens. So while I was doing this, 6 weeks into my channel, 6 weeks after I started, after that Ghostbusters review, I found this guy that reviewed a movie called Bloodfather. Never heard of this guy before. Cody, Leach, Georgia, who's this guy? But he's talking about this movie that no one else was talking about. I was like, oh, let me wonder who else this guy is. So I went in and left a comment. Hey, I love the movie too. And just said in there like, hey man, I posted a review too. If you check it out, I'd love to talk about the movie with you and interact with you.
Suckered me in. I've been stuck with him ever since.
When I say go out and find other creators, I don't mean sub for sub. I don't mean sub and don't care. Like, that's stupid. That's vanity to get more people. Don't do that.
And on top of that, don't like stay within like the era of YouTube that you're in. 100 subscribers, 1,000, wherever it is. You get a lot of people still. Me and him both just started their channel 2 days ago. Got 5 subscribers. Hey, you want to collab? And it's like, even if we do, there's no value for you. There's no value for us when this created a friendship for life. This is the reason why we're here.
Stop, literally, look at this. I'd never met him before. I didn't know him. He just posted a review. I commented on it. 5.5 years later, I'm staying at his house because we were speaking at a Comic-Con, and now we're at that Comic-Con. You are hearing us talk in this exact moment because of that comment you're looking at on the screen.
It's all thanks to Mel Gibson.
Because of Mel Gibson. Wow, who would have thought? But that's powerful. Like, actually make friends. YouTube is social media. Social. Use it that way. Meet people. Make connections. And there's a bunch of other people that I've done these panels in different states and had other people joined in that we met through essentially this exact same process. But don't just meet other creators in that fashion. Also, join in on online communities and you can talk to that.
Yeah, so that was kind of more my strategy. It was an accidental strategy, but like a lot of the people, a lot of the friends that I have to today actually came to me. So I'm very fortunate that they decided to watch my Bloodfather review or what else. But I used like some Facebook groups that were very movie based. I'll get into it, but I'm more kind of in the horror community. So a couple of horror groups. And what you'll find is when you start to find these other areas where people that would be in your fan base congregate and they all hang out, that's ways that you can get your name out without like knocking on people's doors, essentially. Like you're there, you're talking about the stuff that they love, and they realize, oh, you do videos. There's something I can look at there.
Yeah, go where people are already talking about what you talk about. Go where people are excited about that and join the community. Don't spam them. Join the community. Add value to the community.
It keeps your face and your name in their mind without them having to scroll YouTube or go onto your channel. And also with something that we did that was more specific to us. So probably a month or so after we started talking, started doing some collaborations and everything, Sean had this idea for Masters of Movie Trivia. So that was the final one. He won. I'm still contesting it. But
It's true.
Nonetheless, we did 4 episodes to where I think there was up to like 7 or 8 different YouTubers involved.
Yeah, there's 8 different channels kind of involved in this movie trivia competition. And so we got everybody to join in for this kind of collaboration. Everybody shared the video. Yeah. Everybody wanted their audience to see it, in which case, instead of just my people watching my video, all 8 of their channels were watching it. But they also got the exposure because everyone else was promoting the video that they were in. And so it's this big community activity of meeting 8 people through that first process and then doing something together where every one of us is promoting everyone else's channel. And it just promoted everyone. Yeah,
you kind of end up, you're all sitting in the same pool at that point.
And then, I mean, continue on, you still do a series called 31 on 31 with these kind of video rankings.
Yeah, so I started another kind of accidental genius idea. So everybody does rankings for the most part in our sphere, but me and some friends decided to start doing kind of a video series called 31 on 31. So we choose a theme. Last year we did like demon possession movies. Try to do it every Halloween. Sometimes we do more. End of this month we're doing fantasy films. And so it creates this event with other channels, other communities, to where we're talking about the same thing. We're talking about a horror ranking in October, but we're advertising it all year long. And we're advertising it on 4 different channels. And so all year long people are hearing about it. And so what would normally just be maybe a successful video you just push out, now it's something people are looking forward to every year. Yeah,
it's an event, and it's an event that's collaborative for multiple channels, and people ask all 4 of us, when's the next one? When's it happening next? Next one on here, also during that early phase, it's your practice phase. You probably don't want to hear this, but when you're starting out, you're not very good. Unless you're just like a prodigy or you have a career that's related to it, it's awkward to talk to a camera. It is awkward to do it. People ask me all the time, like, how do you get good at talking to a camera and coming off normal? Like, well, first off, thank you for telling me I'm normal. No one tells me that in real life, so I appreciate that. But second, I made 1,000 bad videos before I made a good video. Like, you have to practice and kind of build your content creation muscle. Like, even the best pitchers, even the best basketball players, they practice all the time. Think the Beatles. Before they changed the world with music, they were a cover band that would play in bars do these 7-hour sets. Even the Beatles started out as a cover band. So early on, you just need to get a bunch of at-bats and actually kind of appreciate the fact that early on, nobody's watching your content because you don't want them to watch those videos. A year later, you're going to be like, woo, man, my early stuff, what was I thinking? And we'll talk about some crazy, dumb stuff that I did in some videos in just a little bit. But early on, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. So practice, experiment, try things early on to kind of get the junk out before you have an audience and figure out what you enjoy. You have some thoughts on this too?
Yeah, and one of the biggest things that you really have to practice and what you said, get good at, or at least figure out how to do it, is how to connect with your audience, especially if you're going to do something similar to what we do, where your face is on camera, you're a talking head, you're not just doing voiceover with graphics or movie trailer footage. You have to be able to break that invisible wall that you have between every single person that watches your videos. That's the reason why a lot of people, whenever they meet you, if they are a fan of you, they feel like they already know you because you've already been communicating with them like they're right there in your living room. And
even as we've been walking around, several of you, we've already spoken to you and talked, and we could just strike up a conversation because there's a familiarity. YouTube is social media, and you want to build that connection with people, and you can do that over the internet, but that's a skill that you have to learn.
Yeah, and it goes even beyond that too, because you really start to latch people in with your passions. Like, there's a lot of channels out there that can have the buzzwords in the thumbnail, garbage, woke, stuff like that. But whenever you really find out how to express your love for something or your frustration for something in a healthy way, people latch onto that much more than they do buzzwords or facts or being able to say cinematography correctly. If you have something that you love, if you have a movie that you enjoyed, you can express that clearly. People connect with that. And that's where they feel like even if they don't agree with you, they still enjoy the conversation that you gave them.
And just always think you need to keep growing and getting better. Like, every video, get 1% better. Every video, try and make your thumbnail a little bit flashier and clearer. Every video, try and improve the language that you use. Every video, try and figure out your setup, your lighting just a little bit better. Like, case in point, Tomorrow I fly out to Las Vegas because I'm going to a YouTube conference just to attend it, to learn more about YouTube. Today, I'm teaching you what I know about YouTube. Tomorrow, I'm going to go learn more about YouTube because I want to keep learning, keep improving. So that's your first 100 subscribers. It's all about hustle, grinding, going to find your first 100 subscribers. And maybe it's your first 300. Everyone's different what that looks like. But if you want to get to that next level, you have to start figuring out how YouTube itself works. Like YouTube itself is a social media website where you can upload videos for free. It's also the second largest search engine in the world. And its business model is all about trying to get people to stay on their website for as long as possible. That's how they work. They want people to stay on their website so they can slap an ad in front of them. They want people to click on a video, slap an ad in front of them. Click on a second video, slap an ad in front of them. That is how they work. That is the whole thing. So if you can figure out how to do that, YouTube wants you to create videos that get people to click and then stick around on their website. If you help them accomplish their goal, getting people to stay on their website, they will help you accomplish your goal by recommending your video to other people. But at its core, how does YouTube work? Just boiling it all down, you have to be able to get people to click and then stick around till the end of the video. So the first part on that, how do you get someone to click? You need an enticing idea, title, and thumbnail. Like you have to have a video that kind of like an idea and thumbnail that creates a tension in someone's mind that makes them want to click. Like that's the whole idea. And you've seen kind of these headlines or these thumbnails that say something like, "You won't believe what celebrity died this year." And in your brain, it creates a tension. You're like, I wonder who did die this year. Like 10 facts you didn't know about this thing. And you go, I wonder if I do know. I wonder if I'm smarter than this list. But there's a tension there. It's enticing, even if they're wrong and you do know everything about it. You have to create a title and thumbnail that creates that tension. Well, one of my good YouTube friends is actually really good at this and he does video essays. And he's been around creating content for a long time. And about a year and a half ago, he kind of cracked the code. His channel's called Film Speak. His name is in real life is Griffin. And he figured out to do these video essays where he just spent a long time coming up with like a thesis about a movie, like an actual like idea that he wants to explore for 30 or 40 minutes. And then he spends all this time crafting a title and a thumbnail. And so whenever he's working on one of these, he'll send me 5 titles and he'll say, which one do you like the best? And I'll say, I like the enticing part of this one, but I like the verbiage of this one. And then he'll come up with 3 more. And then he'll send me thumbnails and we'll like work to come up with combinations of the right word that's like a simple thing that just pops for the thumbnail. And then a title that just makes you go, you either go, yeah, he's right. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is amazing, which he's the only person that thinks that, but that's why it's enticing. You hear that and you go, why on earth would he think that movie is his favorite? Look at the title on there. Perfect. Amazing Spider-Man 2. That's crazy. I have to click on it now to figure out what he's talking about. It's enticing. It's interesting. Or on the other hand, he'll have ones where he says something that everyone agrees with and he's just articulating what they're feeling in a way they can't. He's saying, putting their word or their feelings into words. And he's so good at it, but he spends so much time crafting titles and thumbnails. Next one on here, if you want someone to stick, you need to actually deliver on the value promised in the title and the thumbnail. Back to our story about you've all had the headline where it says, "You won't believe who died this year." And then has a picture of Hugh Jackman. And you're like, Hugh Jackman didn't die this year. That's a lie. It's just blatant clickbait. It's enticing, but it's a lie. So you don't want to do that. You want to actually have something enticing that's like, ooh, that's interesting, but then actually deliver on what you promised. So one time I utterly failed at this. A few years back, I did a live stream about anything. I don't remember what it was about, but I did a live stream, and as soon as it was over, the trailer dropped for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. and I decided I'd do a trailer reaction as a live stream. It was like, I'm going to get mine out first. And just immediately, I'm going to put mine out first. So I did my trailer reaction as a live stream. But I didn't have the technology to do this right. I didn't know how to do it. So I came up with this great idea. I'll hold my phone and my wife's phone, and I'll watch the trailer on my phone, and I'll turn the other phone the other way, and I'll push play at the same time so the audience can do this. Now, you might be thinking, that's brilliant. And if you think that's brilliant, you're wrong. It's a terrible idea. It's crazy. So this is what this looks like. Me holding 2 phones, one to my face, one up to the screen, and my son walks in. And I didn't even realize about how terrible this was. He's picking his nose. He's literally finger up the nose all the way up there, picking his nose. Third gigantic problem with this. Actually, I don't know how many problems I've listed. Whatever number of problems this is, because I didn't know how to do live streaming yet, the audio is going the whole time. So you can't hear what I'm saying. My son's picking his nose, and at its best, I'm holding up a phone to the camera. It's just terrible. But because I was the first person to post mine, because I did it as a live stream, it was the most viewed video on my channel. Superficially, that seems awesome until you realize I gave a horrible first impression to 16,000 people. 16,000 people went, oh, cool. Dude, this guy sucks. That's not what you want. That's not what you want. But that's what I did. Like, this gun's picking his nose. Who is this fool? How did he get 16,000 views? It's a terrible first impression. And then there's actually a metric that YouTube gives you. YouTube is owned by Google. They're just as creepy as you think. They track everything about people's viewing habits, and they share it with creators. So you can go into the analytics and see everything. And there's this thing called audience retention, and it's the percentage viewers have watched a specific video. You'll see I don't know if you can see this, but there's a chart, and it starts 100% of the people watch the first second, and then it dips down immediately to like 15%. 85% of people within the first 30 seconds went, dude, what is this? And just left because it was garbage. And by the end of it, by the last little bit, it's down to like 3% of people are still watching it because it was a terrible video. It was my most viewed video up to that point in time, and it was terrible. So it's not just about an enticing idea and thumbnail. You actually have to be good, which is obvious. But that's not the answer you want to hear. We want to think like, man, I put something out. Why aren't people clicking? Why aren't they sticking around? Did you actually fully deliver? Next one. Oh, excuse me. Wait, real quick, if you want to talk about that. I was getting ahead
He
of
gets
myself.
on a roll.
I was. Woo.
So another way you could think about it is that basically when you're doing videos on YouTube is that you're constantly selling yourself to the viewers. So your thumbnail is your first sell. That's saying, look how awesome this is going to be. And there's multiple ways you can do it, just like he was talking about. Something I've been doing recently is similar to with the film speak, is put something enticing to make them click. Everybody can just throw the Northman poster on there and just point at it. That's his thing. But anyway, I started putting things like I put the Northman review and I put the Lion King on acid. That makes people want to click. And so you get them to click.
You saw before I saw the movie, so I saw that and went, well, I don't know, the Lion King on acid. What does that mean? What's going on here?
Exactly. So you get people to click on the video, and now you're selling them the entire length of the video to stick around by keeping them interested, keeping engaged with them, giving valuable insight, valuable information. And hopefully they get to the end and they get to that part of the video where everybody that does the end correctly goes, hey, all right, thanks for watching. Click over here. And now you're selling them again to say, if you enjoyed everything that you just watched for the last 20 minutes, there's so much more if you click right here. And that's your third sell. And so the whole time, every video, it's not just, I want to talk about this, throw it out. It's 3 sales pitches every single time you do one.
And one thought I've always had is I just assume no one cares what I have to say. I have to earn your time.
Yeah.
There's thousands, there's millions of new videos uploaded to YouTube every single day. Why would they click on my video? What do I need to do to earn that click and earn them sticking around? Like, I'm not entitled to any of that. I need to earn your time. Next one on here, if you want to get your first 5,000 subs get into that growth by multiplication where the algorithm actually starts to work for you. First principle on here, you have to find your focus or your niche. You have to be known for something. People don't want your YouTube channel to be a junk drawer. There's a few channels that can get away with that because they're just so famous and the person leading is just so charismatic that anything they do, they're interesting at it. You're probably not. I'm not. You have to be known for something you're actually good at, not just a junk drawer, something specific. You think, if you go to a bookstore, you're probably trying to get a book. If you go to the gas station, you're probably trying to get gas, unless it's a Buc-ee's, in which case maybe you want to buy a smoker, which as we were driving here, we stopped by a Buc-ee's and we're like, they had $1,600 smokers out front. We're like, huh.
I'll take two.
Like, who's convenience buying a $1,600 smoker? But I was tempted. I was really tempted to pick one up. But you want to be known for something. You want to be the fill in the blank guy. For me, I turned out to be the ranking guy. I didn't mean to be the ranking guy. It's not like I sit around at home like making lists of things. And my wife's like, dude, you're making too many lists. Knock it off. Like, it's not the way it works. What happened was I did some rankings because I'd seen them as blogs, but it was like blogs where it's like impersonal. And I thought, I want mine to be personal. It really has like that flavor for me, who I am. So I want to do that. And I posted a few of those. And I got about a year into my channel and I looked at my numbers and I go, okay, if I post a movie review, it gets 100 views. And if I post a ranking, it gets 500 views. Now, I'm not brilliant. I'm not great at math, but I do know 500 is more than 100. What if I double down on the thing that's working better? What if I make that my thing? And as soon as I did that, my growth tripled. I started to figure out what was working and I found a niche and I started growing a lot faster because of it. What does this look like? What does this look like for you?
So when I started out, I did the thing that pretty much everybody does is I just try to do everything. Just throwing darts at the wall, see what sticks. So I had my own movie show where I would do movie news that would take 12 hours to edit and 4 weeks to render. I would do movie reviews for every single movie I could see. That's when Movie Pass came out and then quickly failed. And so I realized that I wasn't going to succeed at everything. If you try to succeed at everything, you succeed at nothing. And so eventually, again, by accident, I decided since October was coming around my first year, I was like, it'd be fun. Let's talk about the Halloween franchise. And so I wanted to review all those films and then a ranking to celebrate October. Then my daughter was born. 2 videos in, that idea tanked. And so later on, I decided that didn't work. Let me review Nightmare on Elm Street, just because I love it. And quickly found that I fit really well with the horror community because all the things that I was talking about, there was somebody on the other end that was just as passionate as me. And so that kind of became the direction that I took that really helped me figure out my niche. The thing that I like to talk about, that I'm passionate about, that I can somewhat specialize in. And going even further with that, for years, underneath my channel, it would say Cody Leach, movies, music, games. And 99% of what I would talk about would be movies. Rarely would I talk about music because there was hardly anything to talk about. And anytime I did a video game review, even if it was really popular, 2,000 views, somewhere in there, it was always abysmal. And so a couple months ago, I started a gaming channel. Last I checked, it's like 3,000 subscribers compared to 80,000 on my regular channel. But every single time I post the same exact video game review that I would have posted on my main channel, I'm getting double the views. And it's because everybody that goes to this channel only wants that thing. They're not there to talk about Freddy and Michael, and all of a sudden you're talking about Sonic. It's like, what is this? So niches are very important.
And some of that even ties into both human behavior, but is also what we just talked about with YouTube being an algorithm. It's a business that wants to recommend videos to the right people to keep people on the right website. And if your channel is a junk drawer, you confuse the algorithm because it doesn't know which videos to recommend to which people because you just got all this weird stuff in there. So as soon as he takes all of his games and put them in one place, it knows who to recommend those videos to. It's not, what's the last video game review you did?
I did Elden Ring, and it went to like 5,000 views. Yeah. I would have been happy to see 1,000 before I put it on that channel.
And it's not recommending it anymore to the Freddy fans who are like, what? What's this? I don't know what this is. It's recommending it to fans of that game and fans of video games because you niched it down properly so the algorithm can properly analyze everything. That's why some of that can be so important. Just make it really easy for YouTube to understand your channel and your audience. There's another side to that. if you don't know who your audience is, how can YouTube's algorithm know who your audience is? So the better you can figure out who you're trying to reach with your videos, who's going to watch them, that it's that much easier for YouTube to do the same thing. Next principle on here, you must offer unique value. You must offer unique value. And what I mean by that is if you make the same videos as everyone else, you compete against everyone else. Like for both of us, where we talk about movies, the number of talking head movie review channels, there's a bazillion of them. There's no shortage of them. And there's some of them have been around almost 15 years now. So if you start doing one today, you're competing against the guy with 2 million subscribers with a built-in audience, and you're just another one of people doing the exact same thing as everyone else. If you do the same thing as everyone else, you compete against everyone else. So you have to find a way to add value, be good, but also be unique, stand out. A guy named Todd Henry says, cover bands don't change the world. We said earlier, the Beatles started out as a cover band. That's how they got good, practicing doing covers. That's how they got great as a band. They didn't change the world as a cover band. They changed the world when they started writing their own songs. All the covers helped them get good. Like when you're starting out, if you just need to get the at-bats, yeah, rip off me, rip off whoever, Mr. Beast, rip off whoever it is that you watch that you love. Absolutely, you can learn from them, emulate them to get the at-bats. But at some point in time, you have to do your own thing. You have to discover where you distinctly are entertaining, where you distinctly have insight, and do that unique thing. You want to add on that?
Yeah, so really early on, something that I learned with that, and to that point about kind of succeeding as somebody else, in the movie space, especially back when we started, the two main names that you would hear is either Jeremy Jahns or Chris Stuckman. If you have never seen their channels, they're basically two of the most widely recognized movie reviewers on YouTube. I think maybe 6 months in, like you saw the thumbnail earlier with the sausage party, I was very basic. Picture of me, movie poster, blue background. About 5, 6 months in, I had one single comment. You're just a Jeremy Jahns ripoff. Nope. Changed everything. Changed the thumbnail, changed my background, changed the way that I approached it. And in doing that, started to figure out how am I going to stand out? Because I know one thing that I had that was valuable for me, which is why I titled my channel off of my name, is I'm me. Nobody else has me. So that's one
true.
asset.
You are you.
Yes. So that's one asset that nobody can completely copy. But everything else has to go along with that. So I started doing these cold opens, these little comedy skits to all my reviews, where even if you were there for the movie, I would add something that nobody else would do, so hopefully a laugh or something that tied in with the movie. I used my green screen to start creating custom backgrounds for every review series. Friday the 13th, I made my own cabin in the woods, and I had Jason shadows behind me and things that I didn't see anybody else doing. And then eventually started shifting towards doing more longer form reviews. There's so many 3-4 minute little blurbs out there, but I was one of the few people that was going to sit there for 25 minutes and tell you why Friday the 13th Part 4 is awesome. And so that was little tiny ways that were easy little shifts for me to figure out how to stand out amongst the millions of people literally on YouTube that every day are trying to do the same thing that I'm doing. Oh, and then eventually, what you need to find out is once you figure out how to stand out, once you figure out how to make your channel unique, is that you have to do what everybody else won't do or what somebody else has not done yet. So one of the things that he's experienced numerous times, I've only had the stamina to do it once, is that I did a Blu-ray collection last February. I've got almost 2,000 Blu-rays. And so it's a video of me holding up every single one, talking about it for a minute, 90 seconds, or saying, I've never seen this, I don't know why I buy it, and then put it back. 9 hours of shooting, at least 7 different shooting sessions, then the editing, and then putting it out and hoping that all of this time is going to be valued. Turned out to be one of the bigger videos on my channel.
My video today, it was my Blu-ray collection video. It was 12 hours of shooting. It was 12 hours of like just, it finished at like 1 in the morning. And at the end, I'm like literally doing this, confused, don't even know what's happening.
Yeah.
This is brutal to do something like that. And not everyone is willing to put that much effort into it. They'll just like read titles, but like to talk about them, it's tough. It's brutal.
Yeah. And then the reward for that is if you go into YouTube and search Blu-ray collection, we're the first 2 faces that you're going to see. And then something else that I did, totally different experience. There it is.
Yeah. That's right.
So,
I have slides. I forgot.
Totally different experience, exhausting on a completely different level, was a couple of years ago. I started searching around. I said, you know what? There's a lot of kills in the Friday the 13th franchise. Nobody's ranked all of them yet. They've given top 10s, top 15s, top 13s. I sat down and said, you know what? Let me go through all 181 kill scenes in these 12 films. It's by far the most labor-intensive video that I've ever done, but I'm the only one who's done it. Still the only one that's done it. Probably will be the only one who's done it because it sucked. But did all of these different editing where you have to find the scene. Then you have to make sure that you clip it in a way that's not going to get you copyright striked. Then you have to figure out, how am I going to articulate why this is number 112 and not 111? And little things like that. Once you start to get your momentum, figuring out, what can I do to stand out even more by doing what nobody else will do?
And to give just few more examples on this, a year ago, Space Jam 2 trailer drops. I watch it with my kids, and right underneath it, a video is recommended from a guy that I've actually led up one of these panels with before, named 3C Film. And it says, I went through and I looked at every single character, 101 Easter eggs. So, wait, my kids are like, I want to watch that video. Like he looked at all the different people in there, and 3C went frame by frame in 4K through the Space Jam trailer and looked at every single face and every single shot in that trailer and walked you through it. And like that character that you forgot who it was, but you're like, I know I saw that guy in a Hanna-Barbera cartoon back in 2003. He looked up who that person was, and every single one of them, he did the work I definitely wasn't going to do, but I enjoyed watching the content. And so what are you willing to do that other people won't do? Just one final example on this. I've reviewed all the Marvel Disney Plus shows. A buddy of mine that this channel's not nearly as big as mine, but he watches them right when they debut at, I guess here in Florida at, 3 a.m. So he stays up, watches it, shoots his video, posts it 4:30 in the morning. I'm not going to do that, but his videos, he's just teeing up, knocking it out of the park every single time he does this, because he's the first, and all the other people that stayed up late, they want to hear someone else's opinion, so they click on his video because it's the only one there, because he's the only one crazy enough to stay up all night to put out the video. I won't do it, but he will, so he's reaping the rewards. What are you willing to do that no one else will do? Last one I'll kind of hear before the last section, create binge opportunities. This is why having a niche is so important, is we've all had that time where you found a channel that you loved their video that you watched. And you went, what else do they have? And you looked at it and it's about different stuff. You're like, oh, you don't have any more of these? Oh, that's too bad. And you forget if the channel exists. Completely forget. You love their one video. That's the exact opposite of what you want to have happen. And that's why having a niche is so important. Because when they find that one video on your channel that they love, you've got another one just like it. Just a little bit different. It's not the same thing, but it's more in that vein. And you create the rabbit trail for them to go down. You want to make it really easy to go down the rabbit hole on your channel. So like for me, the way that played out was, it was May of 2017 where I decided to be the ranking guy. I decided I'm going to post a ranking every single week, and it worked. And then I went, I'm going to post 2 rankings every single week. 6 months later, Thor Ragnarok came out, and I went, I've got this great idea. For this ranking, what if I made it a video I would actually watch? Because all my other ones were too long. I would have watched them. I went, what if I made this one short so I would actually watch it? Which you think, why didn't you have that thought at the beginning? Make videos you'd actually watch. So I have that change of thought. I'll make a video I would watch. And that video just took off on a crazy different level than any other video I'd ever done before. And ended up getting like hundreds of thousands of views. I'd never had that before. But it was just one of many videos that I'd done where I ranked things. So when that video took off, all of a sudden, literally about 250,000 new people were introduced to my channel. And there was a whole rabbit hole they could go down of other rankings they could check out. And that's what you want. You never know which video is going to take off. But when that video takes off, you want everyone that clicked on that video to have another video that they can click on and create that bingeable session. Like you were talking about with Netflix.
Yeah, it's very similar to, say you just stumble upon this show on Netflix, you get 2-3 episodes in, you're like, I love this. And then you click on episodes and there's already 7 more seasons there waiting for you. Versus the opposite, where you find out that they canceled it after 4 episodes and that's all you're ever going to get. So very similar.
You're like, why am I even going to watch this if it got canceled? Or, oh man, I know what I'm watching for the next month. Final one on here, we're going to go into some big tactics for the last little bit. How do you get exponential growth? And for these, it's so important that you do the first part first. The tactics don't work if you haven't figured out how to create unique value and if you don't have a niche. If you haven't figured that part out, the tactics don't work. So you have to get that first. But once you figure out your niche, once you figure out how to have value, there's some really cool stuff that you can do to get the YouTube algorithm to work for you. First off, you need to know your tentpole events. You need to know, like, what are the things that your audience are very excited about? Football fans, Super Bowl. For cosplay channels, Comic-Con season, Halloween. For me, I talk a lot about Marvel movies. Every time a Marvel movie drops, that is a tentpole event for me where my audience charges to the internet, wanting to hear more about those movies. So you have to know your audience. You have to know your niche to know what your tentpoles are. And as soon as you identify those, they have momentum. You just want to ride their momentum and deliver what people are looking for in terms of that content. Like Spider-Man No Way Home. Super easy for me to make hit content right after Spider-Man No Way Home came out. That's what you want to discover. And the other side to this, when it comes to tentpole events, you want, they're good. I had another slide, I forgot about it. Yeah, I had a bunch of these slides in here. When it comes to tentpole events, you want to think in series, not a video, but a series. Remember, our goal is to get them to go down the rabbit hole, to make bingeable content. So when it's a tentpole event, you want to think in series. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so something that I did whenever I went full time last year, I did 2 series that I planned out. Halloween Kills was coming out. I knew when I woke up January 1st of last year, that was going to be the biggest videos of my channel that year, no matter what. So I planned all of this content around the release of that movie. I did a review. I did a spoiler review. I ranked the films. I ranked the masks. I ranked the actors. I talked about my favorite moments. I did a live stream. I did a live commentary. There was like 10 videos in that 2-week wave where everybody in my audience would just wanted to talk about Halloween Kills, where I had everything already right there or on the way for them to keep watching. And very similar to that, like a month after that, we had Dexter's New Blood come out. Huge revival, fans have been waiting for forever. And so I started reviewing all the older seasons of the show. And then when the show started, I reviewed every single episode. And they did okay, but I knew whenever we got to that finale, whether it was good or bad, which it turned out to be bad, everybody that was passionate about that finale, whether it be good or bad, is now going to go back and watch everything else. And so I did not like the finale at all, did a video where I expressed that very clearly and found out that the majority of the fan base agreed. And so they were like, I like this guy. I like his passion. I like the fact that he understands why this did not work for me either. And then all of a sudden they start going back and watching all the 17 videos that I put out over the past 6-7 months. And now all of a sudden there's this backlog rabbit hole where now there's all this extra views, all this extra engagement and stuff that seemed to be dismal that is now all of a sudden getting this discoverability because of this event at the end.
And the big thing with that, you also use playlists.
Yes.
Don't use playlists as junk drawers. Use them to create binge sessions. Create the rabbit hole for them. Create that path that you want people to take where they just spend a lot of time on your channel. As we said at the beginning, YouTube's goal is to get people to stay on YouTube. If they're staying on your channel, they're staying on YouTube, and YouTube will love your content for that. Kind of a pro tip kind of about that. Know exactly what video you want people to watch next when you record your video. Just create it. Send them to a video or a playlist, and you know what's the best thing to follow up this video. You promote it. And here to kind of close this whole thing out, here's how this plays out. When you've kind of figured out your niche, you've figured out your unique value, you've learned how to study your analytics, you've studied your audience retention, and it tells you exactly when people leave your videos. You can find out when people leave your videos. So then you go through and you come up with know when they leave. And so you decide to, before they click away, mention what you want them to watch next. And you've created a series. You've got a whole binge session that people can take. And then you have a video that takes off and it gets way more views than normal. And you promoted that whole binge session. You've told them what to watch next. So a whole bunch of people click, they stick around. You told them what to click on next. They clicked on that one, they stuck around. But in that video, you also told them what to watch next. So they do that again and they click on that video and they stick around to the very end. Here's what gets cool. Then YouTube analyzes your whole archive of content and they analyze their whole history, their whole viewing history. They overlap the two and their super intelligent Skynet AI starts trying to predict what they'll want to watch next. And your channel starts to chase them around YouTube for the next 2 weeks. You've had that happen. You find some random channel, watch 2 videos, and then they just keep popping up in your feed and your recommends for a month. You can make that happen if you offer value and you make it really easy for them to click on the next video. And once again, you deliver value on it. When you do that, it legitimately can change the trajectory of your life. And I say that as someone that was delivering paint when I started my channel, who was in alcohol recovery and was having to restart my life. I had no background in history in any of this. And everything we taught in here legitimately changed my life. And if you do the process, do the hard work, it can do the same for you. Real quick, if you could take a selfie with you guys want to wave at us, and then we got to get out of here.
Standing up, sitting down.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. We're going to be, I think, right over here if you want to say hello. Oh, appreciate it. If you want to clap there too. We're going to be right.
Clap louder.
Thank you. I do appreciate it. We're right over here if you want to ask a question, if you want to talk to us, you want to take a picture with us. We got to get over here because we are like 3 minutes over.